go of 2020 in a year gardening. It's been a very, very quick year that has gone past, and a very unusual one, and there's been a lot happened obviously that we didn't know was going to happen throughout the year. But a lot of things that I planned for the garden have happened, and there's still a lot more to come. But I'd like to just do a review of 2020 in a year gardening, and I'm going to start by going back to the introduction to the very first episode. I hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to my garden. This is a project that I've been running now for 2 years. Moved into this place about 3 years ago and started work on the garden 2 years ago. And I thought it would be a good idea to share with you 12 months of what I'm going to be doing in the garden this year. I intend to share what I'm doing on a weekly, fortnightly basis from January through to December, and we'll see the outcomes of what happens in the garden this year.
Well, it's time to plant something, and today I'm going to be planting a bit of rhubarb. We all like a bit of rhubarb crumble, but you need your rhubarb first. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my soil, pop it into the pot. I've already put some clocks in the bottom to allow a little bit of drainage through. I've had this soaking for about an hour. It's always best to soak your roots for about an hour, and then we can fill in around that. This is going to go and live in the greenhouse for a couple of months, up until probably Easter time, and then we'll plant this out into the garden. Now I've got 2 or 3 crowns more to plant out, so I'll get on with that now. This new tree that I have got is an Alamancia. It has lovely 5-petaled white flowers during the spring, and it's very often called the service berry, as during the early summer you get some lovely berries on the tree, and the leaves change through lovely shades of golds and reds, and should be a lovely feature for the garden. To me, front gardens are a very important thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a sort of parterre design for the front garden. Rather than so it's a boring space, it will actually have some character. And so there'll be some hedges running through. I've got a little feature in the middle of the garden anyway, and I'm going to use that and just round off the corners of the grass. Going to cut around where some of the plant is coming through the back of this. Then I'm going to lift off the wood that is holding it up and then roll it up, and hopefully that can be done in just a few minutes. So it's going to take a pair of secateurs here, and where we've got plant coming through, we've just got to cut that back and release the plant. And I'll do this all the way along, but I think it's going to take too long to do it all. 12 roses all planted, ready to come up and give us a lovely summer display. And they're going to look so lovely, because what we've got in here already is we've got some forget-me-nots, and we've got some native English geraniums, and over the back here we've got some lavender planted, so the whole thing should come together really, really lovely. Well, here we are back in the utility garden. Now, when I first put all of this system up here, I used one of these old storage boxes as a water butt. It's had its day. Unfortunately, it's leaking and it's not holding water, so what I've done is I've been and bought a new water butt. But the thing is, I've now got to measure it to fit into here. So I've got to take a measurement to the centre of the pipe here, which is 6 centimetres from the wall to the centre, and I've got to drill a hole in the top of the water butt. So I need to now sort that out, find my cutting disc and fit the new water butt. I'm not going to do that today because the light is fading on us, but I'm going to do that over the next week, and then I'll show you the end product. But I will show you the water butt. It's one of these here. It's a 100 litre water butt. It has a tap fitting with it. Well worth buying. £15 from the local store, and I'm very, very happy. And that's now nicely in position. What I've now got to do, because I had to cut the hole halfway in the lid and halfway in the back because of the size of it, and I don't want this to be blowing away, so I pre-drilled a small hole here, and I'm just going to put a small screw just through the front here, which will stop the lid blowing away if we get a strong wind. And there's one water butt all ready to go. These few plants here. So what we've got just here, these are Hellebore seedlings that I've grown from seeds of the plants in the garden. These are this last year's seedlings, and they'll be going out into the Hellebore garden later this year. In here, these are cuttings that I took from our hydrangea, and they seem to be coming along quite nicely, so we should have some new hydrangea plants to pot on in a month or so's time. And then we've got some euonymus here, and they're rooting away quite nicely, and they just broke off when I was doing some gardening, so I thought I'd put them in a pot, and they have grown on nicely. So that, you know, these plants are just growing for nothing really, which is rather nice. I did want to show you these. These are my new strawberries, which I have taken from the runners of the old plants last year. And so we've got quite a nice group of 15 plants there, and they should be going out into the fruit bed. I'll wait till the last frost has gone, so we'll probably be looking at mid-May to get those outside. One more little job that I'm going to do today is I'm going to plant out these Hellebore seedlings from last year into the Hellebore border. I've got a lovely display here, but it doesn't go along to the fence, so I want to build that a little bit further along so it just spreads out for next year. And I'm just going to pop these in here. Again, I've already prepared the ground. These have got really, really, really lovely root systems on them. And hellebores are so easy to grow, and they're such a beautiful plant, and I don't see enough of them in people's gardens. So we're just going to pop that one in next to there. These will really fill out for next year. Hellebores are really, really easy to grow, and they will give me a lot more early spring colour, vibrancy and interest in the garden. There were some nice things as well, and one of them, because today's my birthday, my wife has been and bought me these really lovely stainless steel spade and fork to use in the garden. So I'm really looking forward to getting a bit of mud on those as well. So a big thank you to Julie for those. The pattern on the grass, and what I've got to do now is get the lawn edger, cut shapes, get the spade, lift the turf, and have this all ready to repair the grass when it's ready, and then to plant some seeds. And then we're going to recenter that circle in the middle and resite the wishing well. Well, that's all I'm going to be doing for today. Got the circle all laid out round here, and the far side I've started to clear up. I'm now going to get some canes to mark out where the daffodils are, because they're all going to be lifted when they've died back, and I obviously need to know where they are. Clear all that area around the edge, but the beds are looking quite nice, so I'm quite pleased with how it's gone today. Well, here I am back in the vegetable garden, and I've put in a small trench to take the first of the seed potatoes. So I'm going to get on with doing that,
and putting a second row in next to it. We've got 2 nice rows of potatoes in the ground. Well, that's the first of the potatoes into the ground, and like everything, a nice label on the end of them. I like to plant my rows about 2.5 feet apart, which is around about 850 to 900 millimeters. That means that I've got enough space in between the rows to earth them up as they grow.
Well, as you can see, I've already prepared this tray with 3 rows ready to receive my lettuce seeds. And I'm not going to overdo this, I'm just going to do enough for now. It is a very, very prolific crop. It does germinate nice and easily. And so therefore, if we can get this in nice and thinly, we'll be able to pick ourselves some fresh leaves in about 14 days time. And you don't have to wait for the lettuce to fully grow. If you just want a couple of leaves, you can take them off. It's going in a little bit thicker than I really want it to. But we'll just try. That's such a small seed. And that's going to be absolutely plenty, so I'm just going to pop these back into the packet, and then in another 10 days or so I'll be able to plant some more of these seeds and keep the crop growing. And pop those back into that packet there. And all I'm going to do with these is just gently cover them over. And as always, I have already moistened this compost, so it gives them a nice bed to go into. That's lovely there.
Now all I need to do is just spray a little bit of water over. What I'm doing today is I'm going to be planting some more onion sets in here. Now I have a little board that I've made which is just the right size to go inside, and I've got this marked off at 5-inch spaces. And I've got some onion sets here called Centurion, which I am going to be just popping into the ground. Now all I do when I'm planting my onions is I take my thumb and make a hole, just the first knuckle of my thumb, make a hole in the ground, and I do that for each of the onions. Pop one in, and remember, pointy side up, otherwise you ain't going to get no nice onions. And I'm going to be planting a couple of rows of these today. Keep your wife nice and happy. Plenty of onions for the salads later on in the year. Give around about 4 to 5 inches easily, maybe even 6 inches between the rows, and then make holes again. Because this has been through the sieve, it's so nice and soft, this soil, so easy to plant in. Pop that into there. I've got garlic growing at the other end of this bed, and in between I'm going to sow some carrots, but I'm not going to sow those for another couple of weeks just yet. There. One there, and there. There. And one more in there. I won't put one in too close to the end here because I've got my labels which are marked up with onion centurion, which we'll place at the end of each row. We can remove that, and then we can just bring this tilt back over the top. That's my onions planted in those two rows. I'll give those a nice water now, and that'll be ready. Bring that into position. That is going to be absolutely perfect. So where did I put the cable ties? There we go. So I'm just going to again bring one round the centre here and lock that into position there. We're just going to centre these up, fix these with a couple of pins, and then put some more ties on there just to complete the job. And I'm going to be very, very happy with this. Then we can get our polyanthus moved out of here, a couple more hedging plants in, and I'm sure this is going to look absolutely fantastic. And welcome to May. It's amazing how quickly this year is passing. Well, today I'm concentrating mainly on getting some vegetables out and preparing some more ground for sowing. So I've just put out some small cabbage plants. I've actually got some in the flower beds already as well, and I've probably got about another 20 plants to put out. I've also got a frame ready to go over this little bed here with some netting so I can try and keep the birds and butterflies away while they grow. Yesterday I dug a small trench here to plant some potatoes yesterday. They're not normal ones, they're just potatoes from a bag in the kitchen that started sprouting. So I'm just going to grow one trench of them as a bit of an experiment. I had to stop yesterday because a massive thunderstorm and hail and rain all came over. But let me just show you the trench. I've put already some compost into the bottom, and there we have the trench just in here. It's around about 6-7 inches deep, and that's ready to take the potatoes, so I'm just going to put those in now. Well, these potatoes have got some massive shoots on them, so I'm just going to pop those into the ground, and we'll just see how these go. Now, the main difference obviously between kitchen potatoes and your seed potatoes is these are not guaranteed to be disease free, so I'm keeping them apart, and I say I'm only growing them as an experiment. I'm going to pop these in around about 6 inches apart, and we will just see what we get from them. If we get some nice potatoes, I'll be very happy. In fact, it does look like I'm going to need 2 trenches here. I've got another 5 here, I've got 6 in there, so yes, we'll do a second trench. But first thing I'll do is I'll just cover these back in and get a label to mark up what we've got in here. So I get these nicely covered in. And the spare soil at the side here, I'm going to keep that just mounted up at the side, and I can use that for earthing up later as the shoots come through. And we'll see whether these grow or not. Right, I'd better go and get a label. Well, that's the second trench dug, so we'll just pop these last few potatoes into here, and we can hope that they're going to give us something. If they don't, it's no loss.
this area here is where the polytunnel is going to go next year, and so we're going to be able to grow all year round veg, which I'm very, very much looking forward to. And by the way, it will no longer be known as the utility garden. It's now going to be the courtyard garden. Here we go. So this is the area that I've started working on, and the slabs are not down in position properly. They're only just laid on the earth, and I've got to get the sand and cement underneath when I can get the delivery. But if I lay it all out and I level the area, so I've been clearing that sort of thing and turning it into that sort of thing. But then we will have our hanging baskets and our painted fences. This basket here is the first one, and there will be another one on that fence and another one on that fence there, and I'm sure with some planting just going in, if I can show you here and here, and we'll have some nice cottagey plants growing in this area.
Well, that brings me to June in 2020. The first 6 months we covered a lot of things. We developed the front garden, we built the rose garden, and we started on the courtyard garden, along with a lot of planting and preparation for summer. Now May was a really, really hot month, and it went into June being nice and warm as well. So from June onwards, the garden started to change dramatically from the way I saw it at the start. So that's why I'm dividing this into two halves. This part was the build-up, the second part is the execution. So I hope it's just brought back some memories of the first 6 months of 2020 for you. And in true tradition, I'll just have a little suppet with you. And this is a beautiful Irish IPA, and a very nice Christmassy drink it is as well. So have a lovely Christmas, and part 2 will be coming up to see you in the new year. So stay safe, stay well, be kind to each other. Merry Christmas.